Hey, what's up, guys? It's Sports Blitz here, back with my NFL Week 2 power rankings. Now, a few things before I get into this. Guys, this was incredibly hard for me to make. There were a lot of teams that I previously had higher that completely shot down this list, as well as a few bad teams. Teams that I thought were bad that did really well and shot up the list, okay? If I don't have your team exactly where you want it, I'm sorry. Maybe we have different opinions. There's so many of these teams that I definitely see going a lot higher later in the season, okay? Like, I will say right off the bat, I was very critical of the Raiders all off season. Raiders fans roasted me back and forth for it. Well, I shot them up quite a bit on this list, okay? And after their performance last night, I could see them going even higher. So keep in mind that, yeah, a lot of these teams are going to continue trending upwards. So don't read too much into their power ranking for right now. But definitely feel free to leave your rankings in the comment section below as well if you'd like. But also, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe. We're really trying to grind to 1K. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the video. At number 32, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I will say right off the bat, I've been saying all offseason I'm not a fan of Urban Meyer. I never had the confidence in him. He is not a real, players coach. He doesn't get along well with most of his players as well as a lot of his staff. It's come out quite a bit recently that he's got quite a few anger issues, and I don't think that's going to mesh well with the team. I don't expect him to last long in Jacksonville. So I'm sorry. Like, I like Trevor Lawrence. I like a few pieces on this team, but they're just not in a good spot right now. 31, I have the Atlanta Falcons. I will say I really expected a much better offensive performance from them week 1. I mean, I know they didn't. I wasn't expecting them to have a phenomenal defense. I mean, it's the Falcons. It's been a while since they've had a good defense, but I didn't expect them to get blown out by the Eagles. That was a very bad performance, and if they keep performing like that, they're not going to be winning many games. Number 30. A lot of people are going to hate me for this. I have the Giants at number 30. Much like the Falcons, their offensive performance was terrible. Daniel Jones looked awful. Okay? They weren't giving Saquon Barkley many opportunities. The defense didn't even look as good as I expected. I mean, I previously had them ranked as a top 5 secondary and top 10 overall defense. I mean, I wasn't expecting the Broncos to completely work over the Giants like this. Not to mention their offensive line. God, that offensive line was terrible. So if they keep performing like that, I'm not going to have them at, my previously predicted 9-8 for them. 29, I have the Lions. Now, I previously had the Lions a little bit lower. I mean, I had them as the second worst team in football, but they fought hard against the 49ers. I mean, coming back and making it an 8-point game and, having a fighting chance. Dan Campbell, I think, is going to be good at getting these guys, together and fight in games, Like you said, yeah, if they get pushed down, they're going to climb back up. They're going to bite the kneecaps of their opponents. I had to say that one. But no, the Lions showed a lot of fight. I mean, I'm not expecting them to be, super competitive, but, they're going to be fighting in a lot of these games. If they can keep building their roster, they could be good within a few years. I like Dan Campbell. 28. Now, I previously had the Texans as my worst team in football. So, to show them, jumping up this much, they played really well. I don't know how much of it was David Coley, how much of it was, the Tyrod to Brandon Cooks connection, or how much of it was just the incompetent Jaguars. But the Texans looked really good. The offensive line really didn't look all that bad either. They did really well at running the ball. Played really good defense, to be honest. I mean, if the Texans keep this up, they're not going to be the number one overall pick. Good move, good play by the Texans. 27. I have the Jets here. I didn't really have them go down much in my power rankings because, I mean, they lost their pass rusher, Carl Lawson, and about mid-game, Mekhi Becton went down as well, and they still, kept it a close game. Yeah, I feel like the Panthers' defense dominated them a lot more than the score shows. I mean, they had 6 sacks, an interception, a forced fumble, I want to say 9 pass deflections, and just worked over the Jets defensively. But, much like the Lions, they showed a lot of fight. They tried to get back in the game. I think they're going to be a very similar team to the Carolina Panthers of 2020, where, yeah, they lost a lot of games, but they were extremely competitive in most of those games. Kept most of them one-score games. So that's what I see for the Jets. 26, I have the Denver Broncos. Now, the Broncos are a team that I previously had lower as well because I'm not real high on Teddy Bridgewater. However, Teddy Bridgewater did have a solid performance, and defense looked pretty good. If they can keep up that type of performance, they could win more games as well. I could see them as another team that, starts to trend upwards. 25, I have the Vikings. Now, the Vikings disappointed me so bad, man. I previously had the Vikings as an 11-win team and making the playoffs. They just didn't look good. Kirk Cousins looked good. Adam Thielen looked good. But the Bengals really slowed down Dalvin Cook. Justin Jefferson wasn't really much of a factor. And their defense just didn't look that great. It was a bad performance by the Vikings. I'm just going to keep it real here. 24, I have the Washington football team. Another team that I was previously really high on that I actually had winning 10 to 12 games and actually being the winner of the NFC East division. The defense looked solid, but it just didn't seem like they could really generate anything offensively. It looked pretty rough offensively. And I know with Ryan Fitzpatrick going down, that doesn't exactly help too much. But, even when Taylor Heineke stepped in, yeah, he looked solid, but he couldn't really get a whole lot of offense going. So, I feel like they're a team that can bounce back and trend back upwards in these power rankings. But for right now, I'm not real happy with their Week 1 performance. 23, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, the Bengals I previously had around 29 or 30. They shot up quite a bit. They played really well against the Vikings. They showed a lot of fight. Jamar Chase looked really good. He didn't have any drops. Joe Burrow, looked like a number 1 overall pick. The defense looked pretty stout. The defense was good. Trey Hendrickson had a very underrated performance as well. So, good performance by the Bengals. 22, I have the Chicago Bears. I'll be honest, it was more their defense that looked bad Week 1. I get the Rams are a very, very tough team to play against. I get that. But they didn't look great. I feel, honestly, the situation with Andy Dalton and Justin Fields, the thing is, even if Justin Fields isn't completely ready yet, I feel like he'll still play just as well, if not better, than Andy Dalton. I don't think you can really get much worse. I just don't think Andy Dalton really has it anymore, if I'm being honest. So, yeah, I have the Bears right now at 22, but if they can figure out their defense and really work better offensively as well, I mean, they could start trending back upwards. 21, I have the Eagles, another team that I had kind of borderline bottom 5. They dominated the Falcons. Okay, I've been saying all offseason I'm a believer in Jalen Hurts. You can go back and watch my Eagles prediction. I'm a believer in Jalen Hurts. I just wasn't a believer in the coach and the rest of that roster. Well, the rest of that the rest of that roster looked really good, and Nick Sirianni actually made some good decisions. Hurts and Devontae Smith seem to have a good connection going. If they can keep playing that, they could be in strong contention for the NFC East. Number 20, I have the Raiders. Now, this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the video, where I previously had the Raiders 3-14. And again, Raiders fans ripped me apart. Okay? I get that, I was very low on them. Raiders fans, you still need to chill out a little bit, okay? Some of your comments were very much not okay. But, I'm a man. I'll admit when I'm wrong, and I was wrong about the Raiders, okay? Their defense looked damn good last night. They just weren't allowing the Ravens to do anything, okay? They held what I thought was a top 12 team to 27 points and beat them in overtime. Raiders showed a lot of fight, so I shot them up to 20. Again, if they continue playing like this, they'll go even higher, honestly. So, kudos to Raiders fans. 19, I have the Carolina Panthers. Now, this is another team that their defense looked dominant, man. Like, they worked over the Jets' offense. Like, they basically, their D-line made it absolute hell for Zach Wilson and that offensive line. They just weren't allowing him to do much of anything, really, until, like, late in the third quarter and early fourth quarter, which I would argue is possible garbage time, but, their defense looked dominant. Offense looked solid as well. I thought Sam Darnold played pretty well, but they need to capitalize on those opportunities more. They need to capitalize in the red zone more, and that's why I have them this low right now. Number 18, I have the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys, I originally predicted them to be, a 9 or 10 win team, and I still think they can be that. Prior to their game against the Bucs, I was looking at their schedule again, and I was like, this is a pretty tough schedule. I'm not sure they're going to win that many games again. So I kind of got a little bit lower on them, wasn't a big fan of them anymore, but they played really tough against the Bucs. In fact, this is honestly a team that it was incredibly hard placing them here. I wanted to place them a lot higher, despite them losing this game. I was tempted to put them top 15. So, again, this is another spot that it was so hard to decide. So, especially as we get into these higher numbers, take it with a grain of salt. A lot of these teams I could see trending upward and some trending downward. So, yeah, that's why I have the Cowboys right here. 17, I have the 49ers. Similar situation. I have them as a really, really good team. I just didn't have them really go up much because, it was the Lions they beat. And the Lions, like I said, I previously had them as the second worst team in the league. So, when you beat them, you're not going to go up too many spots. But I do expect them to continue their strides offensively and defensively, and I still see them with 10-plus wins. The Patriots, I kind of kept them right where they were at. That game against the Dolphins actually showed me really about what I was expecting. I thought Mac Jones would play decent. Excuse me, guys. I have a really dry throat. Please excuse that. I expected Mac Jones to play decent, but not absolutely ball out against a tough Dolphins defense. And same for Tua against the Patriots defense. I expected a really defensive game, really close game. Despite the Patriots losing, they didn't really show me anything to have them go lower in the power rankings. I could argue maybe 49ers and Dallas above them, but other than that, I don't see any reason why they should drop. 15, I have the Titans. The Titans got worked over. I debated having the Titans even lower than this. If they continue playing like that, they will go a lot lower on my power rankings. They've got another tough team this week in Seattle, and yeah, it could be a tough start to the season for the Titans. Not much else to say about that. 14, I have the Colts. Now, they lost, but I feel like they still looked pretty decent. Carson Wentz, I don't think really looked all that bad. Jonathan Taylor looked really solid again. Their offensive line, didn't seem to really miss much of a beat. Defense got a little exposed, but it was also, early season Russell Wilson, where he plays like an MVP for, half the season and then starts slowing down. Colts kind of experienced that firsthand, so I'm not going to, drop them much. This is actually about exactly where I had them going into the season, so, I don't see any reason why they should drop. 13, I have the Dolphins. I debated having the Dolphins a little bit lower, but I thought their defense played really well. I thought Tua did a good job at protecting the ball, not turning the ball over. Their defense just looked really good as expected. I'd like to see more for them. 12, this is another team like the Titans that I really debated having lower. I previously had the Packers as a top 8 team in the league with Aaron Rodgers, and Rodgers debatably played like the worst guy on the field. It was just an absolute shit show for the Packers. It's really hard to predict them to play like this every single game, but man, after that performance, it was just terrible. So this is a team that I could very well see trending downwards. Number 11, I have the Chargers. Chargers, I may have a little bit high on this list, but I still think Justin Herbert is going to be an absolute dominant quarterback. I think that defense has taken big strides from last year. Their offensive line is a lot better than last year. I think they'll honestly be able to continue winning games, and I think they I previously had Washington beating them. They started out the season with an upset. I think they could still come out and win 11, maybe even up to 12 games. Number 10, I have the Ravens. Ravens, honestly, I think looking back at this, it's tough, man. There's so many teams that I feel like are still really good teams, but should fall a little bit. Ravens still looked good despite not having, their top 3 running backs, but man, they lost to the Raiders. This is tough. These are tough power rankings, man. Ravens, I don't think are gonna get, off track or anything though. I think they'll still, start trending back upward, and I think they'll be able to win, quite a few games. Steelers surprised me. They had a dominant defensive performance against the Bills. They had a punt block and actually returned for a touchdown that, really, really amplified them for this game. They were down, I want to say 13-0 at halftime, and then came out after halftime and just dominated the Bills. They owned that second half. Steelers defense looks exactly like we expected. Really good. Number 8, we have Seattle. Seattle's another team that, I mean, yeah, they're starting out the season hot. They always do. This is a spot that I don't see them going up too much higher because I think eventually that offensive firepower is going to start dying out again, like it, has the past few seasons in the second half of the season. I mean, I'm still not completely sold on the defense yet either. So that's why I don't have them as like a top 4 team. But I mean, if they can continue that like every week, they could very well go up quite a bit. The Cardinals I previously had as the 4th team in that division. Very tough division, by the way. I think that's still the toughest division in football, the NFC West. But the Cardinals dominated the Titans. I mean, Kyler Murray had 5 total touchdowns. Chandler Jones had 5 sacks. I think they picked off Ryan Tannehill, if not twice, at least once. I mean, there's just a dominant performance. If they can keep that up, they're going to be in strong contention for that division. Number 6, I have the Saints. Previously, a team that I had at 8-9 or maybe 9-8 that came out and just blew up the Packers. They dominated. Jameis Winston looked very smooth. His deep ball looked incredible. That defense looked dominant. Alvin Kamara didn't miss a beat. I mean, this is going to be a good team this year. This is going to be a good team this year. Number 5, I have the Bills. Now, I mean, I previously had them as a top 3 team, so, it's not surprising to me that, they're still at 5. I think they'll be able to bounce back from that loss to Pittsburgh and, go on a crazy winning streak again. I'm not too worried about the Bills, but, yeah, man, again, credit to the Steelers for that win. Number 4, I have the Browns. I mean, they lost to a team that was in the Super Bowl last year. I mean, you can't really drop them much, if any, for that type of loss. I mean, they played tough. They kept it real close down to the wire. So, I don't see any reason why the Browns should fall. Number 3, Matt Stafford looked incredible with the Rams. That Rams defense looked dominant. That was a fun game to watch. I mean, Matt Stafford just looked smooth out there. I mean, I think they're going to be real competitive with the Bucs to be the NFC winner this year, so it's going to be close. Number 2, I have the Chiefs. I mean, they won their game. I don't see any reason why they should fall. But I also don't see any reason why they should go ahead of number 1, which is the Bucs. I mean, I had them at number 1. They won their game. There's no reason why they should go down to number 2. They're just a dominant team. So yeah, these are my power rankings. Again, I know there's going to be a lot of you guys disagreeing with these. Okay, I get that. Feel free to leave your power rankings in the comment section below. Again, guys, I'm sorry if your team wasn't exactly where you wanted it to be, but like I said, a lot of these teams I could see trending upward and downward. But, just because the Raiders beat what I thought was a top 10 team doesn't mean I can shoot them up to number 5. You can't move them 20 spots in 1 week. So, yeah, let me know what you think about these. Again, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Later.